What do the games StarFox 64, Dragon Force, and Street Fighter III all have in common? These three amazing games were all reviewed back in 1997, but they were not the year's best games. At least, not according to Next Generation Magazine, who gave all three of these undisputed classics 4 stars out of 5. Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, Next Generation gave 21 different games a higher score than Castlevania's Symphony of the Night. I'm talking about the perfect 5-star rating, and today we're going to go through all of these reviews and see what makes them worthy of this coveted prize. This is Next Generation's 5-star reviews, and these are the 21 best games of 1997.
Not everyone can be a samurai warrior. Not everyone can live by the power of the sword. Not everyone can die with honor. I, for example, make kazoos.
Alright, up first we have Bushido Blade on the PlayStation. Every few years, a game is released that sets a new high watermark for an existing genre. Mario 64 did it for platform games, Wipeout did it for racing games, and now Bushido Blade has done it for 3D fighting games. Bushido Blade is a weapons-based fighter, but its similarity to games like Soul Blade ends there. Given that Square has chosen to take a much more realistic approach to blade combat than most fighting, it could be argued the Bushido Blade is the kind of game that you either love or hate. However, while it may not offer the arcade-style button mashing and 20-hit combos of other 3D brawlers, it does offer the closest you can get to the real thing without actually getting cut. Number 2, Creatures on the PC. First of all, it's doubtless that there will be those who wouldn't even consider Creatures to be a game at all. There's no clearly defined goal, and very little in the way of conflict. However, while this may be true, it also exists solely to provide entertainment, so what else would one call it? This is one of the most ambitious applications of artificial life paradigms ever brought to the mass market. While there is some controversy in A-Life circles about whether or not Creatures really is artificial life and whether the designers have cheated in various ways, in the end, it doesn't matter. Some will doubtless find the appeal elusive, but Creatures still offers one of the most obsessive and entertaining experiences anyone can have in front of the computer. Number 3, Dungeon Keeper on the PC. Peter Molyneux originated the God Sim with Populous several years ago. But since that time, he's been involved in a number of projects in which the players get to manipulate every facet of some world while the happy or unhappy minions react to the player's decisions. So why is it that when he releases yet another game in the genre, it still manages to capture the imagination and, even more importantly, seems completely fresh? The answer is the attention to detail and visionary concepts of gameplay. Starting with the extremely original premise of making the player the bad guy, Dungeon Keeper gives the players a chance to create a dungeon fraught with traps, monsters, and other perils to destroy any would-be heroes who happen along. Number 4, Fighters Megamix on the Saturn. Simply put, this is the best fighting game ever on a system that is already chock full of great fighting games. From the genius team that brought you the Virtua Fighter series and Fighting Vipers comes kind of a greatest hits collection called Fighters Megamix. Conceptually, this game is a gimme. Combine one great fighting game series with another to see what kind of chemistry emerges when the realistic, finesse-style fighters of Virtua Fighter meet the stylized, street-savvy team of Fighting Vipers. This works brilliantly. Sparks fly, and some fascinating matches of strategy and reflexes ensue, all built around that patented AM2 dead-on responsive control. This is AM2 performing at peak levels, and every fighting game fan should sit up and take notice. Number 5, Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation. After all the hype that surrounded Final Fantasy VII, it would seem nearly impossible for any mirror game to live up to the expectations, especially given the sheer thematic brilliance of Final Fantasy VI, a true magnum opus that pushed the console RPG about as far as it could go. So, did Square succeed? Well, yes. There are a few mild stumbles, but as with any title whose level of ambition is this high, that's hardly surprising, and ultimately makes little difference. Final Fantasy VII is a game not to be missed. The dream is real, and the bar has been permanently raised for console RPGs. It's a hell of a ride. Don't miss this one. Number 6, GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64. Movie licensed-based video games get an unusually bad rap, and for good reason. Trite, formulaic, no-brainers with few redeeming qualities have been the norm, and gamers have learned to shy away from anything with a picture of a movie star on the box. However, Rare has once again shown itself to be a bright spot in the N64 landscape, creating a James Bond video game that's even better than the trite, formulaic movie it's based on. GoldenEye is a surprising killer app, if only for the smashing multiplayer options. The excellent single-player game backing it up makes it well worth buying indeed. Number 7, NBA In the Zone 2 on PlayStation. Last year's In the Zone was a disappointment. It looked gorgeous, but lacked full rosters or even a season mode, and so little attention was given to the defense that it plays like a highlight reel. This year, wow! In the Zone 2 gives the players complete control, offensively and defensively, over the most realistic-looking NBA teams in video game history. It still has a very arcade-style feel, and still has a tendency to look like a highlight reel, but with its intuitive control, sharp graphics, and deep gameplay, it's the best basketball game on the planet. Number 8, International Superstar Soccer 64 on the Nintendo 64. Simply put, this is the game FIFA 64 should have been. Released in Japan as J-League Perfect Striker, Konami's entry into the soccer game field is an impressive showing and even gives the undisputed champ, the Worldwide Soccer Series for Saturn, a run for its money. The domestic version improves on the original by adding some international team licenses and tweaking the single-player AI. That way it's not the goal fest released in Japan. Details like the refs of varying skill, different weather conditions, real stadiums, and attitude give even more depth to a game that gets just about everything right. International Superstar Soccer is easily the best Nintendo 64 sports game, and it puts FIFA 64 in its rightful place, the bottom. Number 9, Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 on PC. Considering the flood of mediocre titles from LucasArts in the past year, Next Generation was prepared to be disappointed by Jedi Knight. After all, the surefire hit X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter turned out to be a major letdown, and its latest first-person shooter Outlaw turned out to be merely Dark Forces wearing a cowboy hat. Imagine our surprise then when we got Jedi up and running and were totally blown away. Rarely has a PC game made us say wow quite this often. The game has little to no faults. One could nitpick about the overacting or the rushed look of the menu interface. But in the end, Jedi Knight is to first-person shooters what sliced bread is to wheat products. Number 10, Moto Racer on both PC and PlayStation. Every once in a while, a game redefines its genre, making use of new technologies to expand its horizons of level designs and gameplay, and to just be plain fun. Delphine's Moto Racer GP is one of those games. Very simply, Moto Racer GP is an extremely well-designed motorcycle racing game with both motocross and road bike racing elements. What sets this game apart from other racing titles on PC is its amazingly smooth frame rate, high polygon count, excellent use of direct 3D, multiplayer options, and excellent control. Moto Racer GP fills the vacant niche of the PC motorcycle racing genre admirably. With luck, more titles will use Direct 3D as well as this one does.
More than 200 animators and programmers. A multi-million-dollar production. Over 2 years in the making. And a cast of thousands. They said it couldn't be done in a major motion picture. They were right. Final Fantasy VII.
PlayStation.
And we're back with number 11, NFL GameDay 97 on the PlayStation. The original GameDay was the coming out party for Sony Interactive Studios, which has grown into one of gaming's premier sports developers. With GameDay 97, Sony has proved that last year wasn't a fluke. This is the best football game to date. GameDay 97 is a hard-hitting, fast-paced football game with more moves, options, and playability than anything out there. Even if you already own Madden 97, this is the game that every football fan must have. Number 12, NFL GameDay 98 on PlayStation. Ever since the launch of the PlayStation, GameDay has been the absolute best playing football game available, year in and year out. However, when Madden returned last year, it took the immediate market share lead. Not because it was a better game, but because it had a bigger name. If the same thing happens again this year, then there's a serious problem with the game buying public. There's no denying that GameDay is the best football game series around. More impressive still when you consider that it continues to evolve season after season. Sony has simply done it right. Number 13, PaRappa the Rapper on PlayStation. Simply put, style over substance has never been better done than in PaRappa. Certainly, more than a few PlayStation owners will find PaRappa boring, pointless, and completely inane. But the truth of the matter is, PaRappa the Rapper is a game that must be played to be fully comprehended, enjoyed, and valued. Not for its contribution to general video gaming, then for the link it forges between the video game industry and pop culture novelty at large. It's beyond recommended. Number 14, San Francisco Rush on the Nintendo 64. In what has clearly been Midway and Atari Games' biggest coup in recent memory, San Francisco Rush stormed arcades last spring to wild gamer and critical praise. Now, the console version arrives on Nintendo 64, and not to put too fine of a point on it, but it kicks! Rush combines the power of muscle car racing with numerous alternate routes and secret passages in an urban environment. It's also tempting to say that it includes some of the best thrills of a flight game. Imagine Steve McQueen's bullet on steroids, crack and espresso, and you've got some idea of how San Francisco Rush brings the modern chase to the 1990s, with insane 30-foot jumps across San Francisco that have to be seen and played to be appreciated. All told, San Francisco Rush is just short of brilliant. It's a fun, challenging game that keeps you playing over and over again. Number 15. Terminator SkyNET on PC. About a year ago, Bethesda came out with Terminator Future Shock. It was a revolutionary first-person shooter using the mouse in combination with the keyboard for control. Although it didn't receive much acclaim, it was ahead of its time in terms of control, the size of the game maps, and pushing the style of the genre in new directions. All it was missing was an SVGA mode and multiplayer support. Well, guess what Terminator SkyNET has? As soon as you adjust to the interface and get used to using the mouse in combination with the keyboard, the sheer beauty of the game, combined with the incredible amount of flexibility in the engine, means that Terminator SkyNET could be the best first-person shooter of the new year. You owe it to yourself to buy this one. Number 16, Titanic, Adventure Out of Time on Mac. One of the brightest lights in what has surely been very dark days for the adventure game genre is cyberflicks. With Titanic, the company has again taken the text-free graphic adventure to a new high point, both technically and creatively. Unlike missed clones and full-motion video boondoggles, the game runs in real 3D and supports inventory-based puzzles and heavy character interaction. Overall, the game features good control, logical, well-designed puzzles, and astounding realism. This is easily one of the best adventure titles of the year. Number 17, Tomb Raider on Saturn. In an industry flooded with flashy games brimming with style but devoid of substance, it's always nice to find a game with both. The team at Core must have surely known that Tomb Raider, in development for almost 2 years, was a guaranteed success the first time they saw Laura running around the empty room with a pistol in each hand gunning down wolves. Fortunately, the team wanted to go a little deeper. The result of this commitment is the creation of one of the year's finest games, a game that demonstrates in its 15 gargantuan levels and painstaking tweaking of detail a level of ambition rarely attempted and an execution hardly ever achieved. Number 18, Virtua Fighter 3 in the arcade. Sega AM2 has taken the time and used its craftsmanship and skill to show what could really be accomplished with a fighting game. Virtua Fighter 3 is a vast leap over the already excellent previous 2 incarnations, and is uniquely engrossing and technologically advanced in every way, from its gameplay to the graphics, background, characters, and sound effects. This is a gleaming example of what can be achieved in true 3D fighting. Everyone should play this game. The Model 3 board has enabled the designers to reach deeper and deliver more in graphics and playability than ever before. Virtua Fighter 3 is surely the new high watermark by which all other fighters are measured, and which all fighting game developers will aspire to. Number 19, Wave Race 64 on the Nintendo 64. To say the graphics in Wave Race are gorgeous is a huge understatement and doesn't even come close to describing the game's absolute graphic perfection. Adding to the sensual delight is the perfect sound of splashing water, roaring engines, and crashing waves. The N64's polygon power has been harnessed to produce some of the most ultra-realistic wave mechanics seen in any game, for any system, ever. Wave Race 64 is deep, fast, beautiful, a technological wonder, and, most importantly, fun! What more can you ask for? Number 20, World Series Baseball 98 on the Saturn. Every once in a while, a game comes along that redefines the way a certain genre is done. This elite group includes Doom, GameDay 97, Tomb Raider, Mario, Sonic, and now World Series Baseball 98, which changes the rules of video game baseball. World Series Baseball 98 has taken all of the strategic elements of pitching and hitting and made the best pitcher-batter interface ever. Other features like rain delays, injuries, and errors all add up to making World Series Baseball 98 the best baseball game ever. Clearly, this is the new standard for baseball games, and there's no current game that even comes close. Saturn may not have much, but it's got baseball. And finally, number 21, Worldwide Soccer 97 on the Saturn. Let's not mince words here. Everything in Worldwide Soccer 97 is done to near perfection. Whether you're talking about the crisp graphics or the stunningly solid gameplay, no game has ever captured the one-on-one confrontation in a sports game better than Worldwide Soccer 97. Even a soccer novice can pick up some of the basic strategies necessary to play. The cross, the header, the bicycle kick, the back heel, the long ball, and the dummy are all here in a snap to pull off. Quite simply, Worldwide Soccer 97 is the best recreation of any sport ever.
Hey, time to load up on PlayStation games. Greatest hits are on sale.
Crash Bandicoot,
Jet and Moto.
But I don't even have a PlayStation.
You do now.
Mom know about this?
Who?
PlayStation.
Hey, thanks for watching us look at Next Generation's 5-star reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we're going to be posting a new one of these every single Friday leading up to the end of the year. We also have a playlist with the first 2 episodes, as well as Next Generation's 1-star reviews, which let me tell you is a whole lot more snarky and meaner than any of these reviews. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite game of 1997? Was it one of the games that Next Generation loved, or maybe it's something that they just totally slept on? Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back next week with a new episode of Cubite Classics Review Crew, as well as another one of these Next Generation episodes. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,